Hello and welcome back to the TVBinges.com Pilot Roundtable, a Southgate Media Group podcast. I'm Kyle Tremblay, the editor of TVBinges.com, and I am joined as always by a fellow TV Binges writer. She's a hard-boiled cop with a dark secret. It's Olivia Richards. Hello.
That's me. I'm gonna add that as my Twitter bio.
Definitely. That's your profile.
That's
dark
basically.
Secret. Yes. Your dark secret is that you watched this NBC premiere, our first drama of the 2016 season, our first new drama. It's the Jennifer Lopez is a cop show, 50 Shades of Blue. Wait, no. Shades of Blue. Olivia, what did you think of Shades of Blue?
They should have just called it 50 Shades of Blue.
I mean, just go the whole distance.
Just really, if you're going to commit to something.
Yeah, exactly. What did you think?
Oh, yeah, I mean, look, it happened. It was on. It's another procedural. It's a very glossy procedural, but yeah, this one really didn't stand out from anything else we've watched apart from it starring Jennifer Lopez.
Yeah, this is a weird show, I want to say.
Yeah.
This is... So, I just want to explain what happens as a way of sort of picking through it. The very first scene is J-Lo and her partner as in they are detectives together, are talking about flowers, and Jennifer Lopez says the flowers are bisexual because they are both male and female, which actually isn't bisexual, it's hermaphroditic.
Yep.
So that's your first line of the show, and really got it wrong. Like, but it's, so right off the bat, you kind of know what you're in for. But J-Lo, like the first scene, they're going into to bust a drug dealer in his apartment, and J-Lo's partner jumps the gun literally and shoots the guy while he's playing video games. Dude is just on the couch playing video games. Cop busts down the door, shoots him. So bad news right off the bat.
Right.
J-Lo comes in and immediately, like unquestioningly, helps him cover it up. Like, plants a gun on the guy, says is in his hands, the drugs are here, this is a bad dude, he shot first, and then she shoots her partner in the chest he has a bulletproof vest on, as a way to, like, cover up, like, hey, look, this was a gunfight, as opposed to just busting in the door and shooting the guy in the chest. And so and then, of course, we go on to find out that the entire police department is corrupt, and J-Lo is very much complicit in this corruption. They are, like, extorting local businesses, and pocketing, like, money from like, drug dealers and stuff as a way to, like, not get busted. And then at the end, J-Lo is caught for that by the FBI and then turned, and she is forced to inform on her own department, which she agrees to do. So J-Lo is the hero of this show, but I had a real hard time getting past the fact that her partner shoots a guy, like an unarmed dude, right off the bat, and then she covers it up. Like, that's really bad, right?
No, I know, and, like, I feel like they were trying to make her sympathetic, because, you know, like, I guess she has a teenage daughter, or, like... Yeah. Something, and they were trying to make her into, like, sort of a sympathetic, like, anti-hero, but that's a lot to overlook.
That's a lot, and also it kind of played as, like, tone deaf with what's happening in the world right now. Yeah. And, like, in Baltimore, it's like, this is literally a cop shooting an unarmed person and then another cop covering it up. Like, that's not something we're unfamiliar with right now. and this is our hero, and I think we're being asked to root for her. And so, I mean, this pilot has been on the book since, like, early 2014. Like, this is a show that had a lot of production delays. And I just wonder if that was written long before sort of police violence against African Americans became a big talking point in the nation, and that's literally what happens in, like, the first, like, meet and greet here. and I don't know if it kind of played as tone deaf to me. Like, the fact that is not even the premise of the episode. Like, that's just that was just like an example, like an introduction to our characters. And it kind of stopped me in my tracks in terms of like, wow, like that is a really bad thing that they just did. But I guess I'm going to watch J-Lo have like a loving scene with her daughter. And I guess I'm supposed to root for her. But yeah, what you said about anti-heroes, I think is the idea here. The idea is that these are a bunch of bad cops who are supposed to be sketched as like real people, and so they're cops that have families, but they're also like clearly and unapologetically corrupt, and it's sort of about a corrupt. It's kind of like a 360-degree look at a corrupt police department. What I think undermines all of that, well, the idea should be that Jennifer Lopez is kind of playing a Walter White, Vic Mackey, Philip and Elizabeth Jennings kind of character, like a true like anti-hero, a villain who is the center of the show, which is like the Walter White thing. The problem is Jennifer Lopez, which is that she is one of those actors who will never allow herself to be portrayed negatively. And so forever, we have her taking part and being complicit in really bad things. But then we also have a ton of scenes of her like being a loving mother to her daughter, and her like she doesn't want to inform to the FBI, but she has to think about her daughter's schooling, and basically portraying her as a victim in all this. Like she's very put upon in this pilot, and it's like she is not responsible for these situations. She just keeps getting put into them, and so like I feel like the problem, and this is a problem with a lot of like movie stars, is that she refuses to really commit to being as bad as the script calls for with the character. And so we're kind of left in this mushy ground where she clearly wants us to root for her, and Jennifer Lopez is a producer on this show, so obviously like she has creative control over this. But yep. She wants us to root for her character so badly, but her character is a monster. And that is, I think, a very tenuous arrangement that, frankly, does not last even a little bit in this episode.
No, I completely agree. And that's why I was sort of like, it's a very glossy show. Like, it has like Ray Liotta and it has Jennifer Lopez. So it's like, it's very well packaged, but the contents are kind of crap. Like, when we're watching it, I'm sitting there and just what you said, I was like, I don't feel bad for this woman. Like, honestly, her character was just very, like, I feel like they were trying to go for, like, complex and, like, gritty, but, like, what they gave us was just, like, here's a really bad person doing really bad things, and here's why. Feel bad for her.
You're right. It's here's a really bad thing, but here's a really good thing. She loves her daughter. Here's a really bad thing. It's one of those, and you can sense the insecurity that she has, and that she doesn't. And again, we see this a lot with movie stars, is that I'm scared to commit to being a bad guy. I'm scared to ever not have the audience be on my side. And so she, as with all of her movies, J-Lo needs the audience to be on her side. And I think that's what undermines all of this, is that if you wanted to do a gritty cop show about corrupt cops, then it has to be like far more explicit about how bad she is. And it's, of course, like, look, Walter White loved his family, but there were no questions about, like, what Walter White was. And there are ways to do that. And just the way this is shot, the way she delivers dialogue, like, all of this, she is clearly trying to win over the audience, and she doesn't give herself over to being a bad guy. And that, I think, is the show's failing. And also being on network TV. Like, it's really hard to have a gritty show, as you say, like, be this glossy. I just think this kind of show is best left to cable, and you really need a lot more buy-in from the lead actor in terms of just committing to being bad. Like, that has to be a bad guy character. Can have some redeeming qualities, but the goal in the pilot can't be to redeem this character if you want to make this show the kind of show that it wants to be.
I completely agree, and it's just sad because I'm like, I really don't think that J-Lo is a bad actress.
No.
Like, she is a great actress, and it is just a shame that, you have this part that really you could take it really far. I mean, as far as you can on a network drama, but at the same time, it's staying in the, like, the safe zone, and the zone of, like, like you had said, like, like, let's paint her as a sympathetic character.
Right.
Or, let's make sure that the audience is kind of on her side. And I was like, but you really, really did some objectively terrible things.
Yeah.
The whole episode, and you got caught for them.
Yeah, throughout. I don't feel sorry for you.
I don't.
Yeah. It's a term that I use on this show a lot, on our podcast, to describe shows, and I use it as a negative, which is the heart of gold syndrome. It's that characters, the idea that shows have that my characters need to have a heart of gold. You see it with sitcoms, you see it elsewhere. Like, I need to do something to prove that my characters have hearts of gold. It's like, if your show is called Shades of Blue, obviously you're playing on Shades of Gray. Maybe Jennifer Lopez's heart doesn't need to be solid gold. Maybe you can figure out a way to dial it back a bit so that the character isn't being, like, so overtly portrayed as sympathetic and still doing these terrible things. Like, you gotta commit to it if you're gonna have it be like this, or else it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense that I'm being asked to root for her when she helps cover up, that crime scene at the start. None of it makes any sense, like, morally or, like, just tonally. I don't understand what the tone of the show is. I don't understand if I'm supposed to be rooting for her, rooting against her, if I'm supposed to be conflicted. Like, none of that clicks at all with this pilot. And I think that is largely a function of her own refusal to just, like, give herself over to being an unlikable character. And honestly, like, because the thing is, with Breaking Bad, a lot of people rooted for Walter White anyway, even though that show pulled no punches in making him a terrible, horrible person, and that was a tribute to Bryan Cranston's charisma. And like you said, J-Lo is not a bad actor.
No, not at all.
And I think, I think people would root for her anyway if the show didn't go out of its way to make her sympathetic. I don't know if she needs the training wheels. I don't know if she needs all this help from the way the stuff is shot. I don't know if we need that scene where she's crying in her car looking at her reflection. Like, I don't know if we need any of that, because she does have charisma. And I feel like the audience might kind of, part of them would be on her side anyway if you didn't have all of that. So I don't need the show to be giving me that. Like, there's just... Yeah, I think she's charismatic enough to maybe pull it off, and the show just time and again bent over backwards to, like, tell the audience, like, oh wait, don't write her off just yet. She has a heart of gold. And so that's what I really reacted to negatively with this one.
Oh, I completely agree. And it just, like, like we were saying, it kind of is sad that the show has to basically beg the audience to pick a standpoint, and it doesn't just let it. Because, like, the show is called Shades of Blue, so obviously, like, the characters are morally gray, so I think that the audience should be allowed to decide where they stand, and let us also be a little bit more gray in our choices, and it doesn't have to be like, hey, go and do this. Like, you have to think this way, because look at what we're showing you.
Right. Maybe all of her actions don't need to be dictated by her daughter, whom she lies to, by the way, in this pilot. Her daughter specifically asks her, like, are you seeing that boxer? And she says no, and the next scene is her engaged in a compromising position with the boxer. And it's like, well, no, you're, like, lying to your daughter. It's like, I don't know. But, like, everything, the daughter motivates everything. Yes, I need to take bribes from drug dealers because I need to put my daughter through school. And yes, I need to inform on my police precinct buddies because I need to put my daughter through school. It's like, oh, I don't know. Like, that's not the kind of, like, moral shading that I think the show is going for, where I'm questioning the show's own morality as opposed to the morality of its characters.
I know.
So that's the big problem. But anyway, oh, by the way, there was a Marilyn Manson musical cue in this episode. I thought that was timely. So this premiere did a 1.8 rating in the demo, which is pretty good, and had 8.57 million viewers. So it's kind of premiered, not big, but pretty big. What is your thought on canceled quickly, making it through the season, or renewed for next season?
I would like to see it canceled quickly, but realistically, with that rating, and also the fact that it's a Jennifer Lopez driven show, it's probably going to be on for a full season.
Yeah, I think this one might even get like a second or third season.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think there is an audience for this. I think I suspect that our concerns are not mirrored by the concerns of much of the audience for this kind of show. I think that there are a lot of Jennifer Lopez fans out there that are always going to root for her, and that a lot of this episode, a lot of the stuff that I'm criticizing in this episode was like direct pandering to her fans, and it's probably a smart business decision. You know, you don't want the core J-Lo fans to be questioning why they're rooting for J-Lo. So you kind of got to throw them a bunch of bones and give them plenty of reason to root for her. So I think that there's definitely a calculating element to the decisions this pilot made. But as far as the art of the pilot, that definitely hurts in that regard.
Yeah.
So your final verdict, Olivia, thumbs up or thumbs down on Shades of Blue?
There's no gray area here. It's a thumbs down.
Yeah, this is I feel morally clean saying that this is a thumbs down for this pilot. Not very good. Unless you're a J-Lo fan, in which case, go crazy. That's right. You've been listening to the Pilot Roundtable, a TVBinges.com and Southgate Media Group production. You can listen to all of our episodes on iTunes, where you can rate and review us. We'd appreciate that. Or find us at SouthgateMediaGroup.com. Follow Olivia on Twitter at RichardsOlivia, and me on Twitter at KyleLovesTV. Until next time.